All right. Let's see. Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. This is 12 Faces of Sober Podcast Speaks, episode number 6. And to close out Women's History Month, I have another talented author that I've had an opportunity to actually work with over the last, I would say, literally about two and a half, maybe 3 months. We were in the Sonship Sower Seed publishing, I guess you say, program. And we actually have something going on this evening, book party, 6 p.m. On Facebook. So this is a nice little plug to get that going. And she's, like I said, she's a very talented person. I've gotten to know her. We've been able to interact pretty much at least once a week on Zoom, if there's nothing going on as far as, you know, outside work. But she wrote a very great a children's book, and that children's book is right here. All These Hands, A Day in the Life of Eryn Lee. And my guest is Lewis YK. She also has her own enterprises. So Lewis YK, before we get into detail about your books, I'm gonna want you to, you know, tell me a little bit more about yourself, where you from, things like that, your background.
Okay, it's my pleasure, and thank you so very much for having me on your podcast and sharing your platform with me. I thank you so very much. I am Lewis YK of Lewis YK Enterprises, and a little bit of history about me. I come from a place that a few people know. It's called West Dallas, Texas, and born and raised in West Dallas. And I have parents who love and encourage me to be myself. I have 3 other sisters. I currently now live in Arlington, Texas, with my family, and I started my business. And I started writing. I've always written, but I actually started the process of starting my business back in 2013. I got hurt on the job. And that's how my journey actually began. I was actually going into manufacturing, but that didn't work out. So I went back to what I had already in plan, was my books and writings that I just did for my children and myself. And my children encouraged me. After trying to get published in the traditional sense, it didn't work out. And so my children just like, why don't you do it yourself? And that's basically how Lewis YK Enterprises came about.
Okay. And I definitely appreciate this, because you're going to, you know, be able to give an explanation of that process of doing it independently and not necessarily going through, as I did, going through a company. So this is definitely going to be a wonderful interview. So why don't you talk about this children's book? What was, I noticed the first thing I noticed about it was the lifelike, the pictures. You know, it wasn't so much of a cartoon feel. It has like, okay, it puts like a child, you know what I mean? Like I could see the child going through, you know, page by page in the process and exchanging hands and stuff like that. So why don't you go ahead and let's talk about this book.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, actually, All of These Hands, A Day in the Life of Eryn Lee, it takes a snapshot of my actual daughter. So the child that you see in the book is actually my daughter. And I'm in the process of looking for an illustrator. I had a lot of talented people, but how I landed on him, his name is Nicholas Milano. How I landed on him is I gave him a 5-minute sketch to do of my daughter, because I knew I wanted it to be lifelike. I wanted to embody um, my family and what a mixed race or interracial couple's life or a child will look like. So that's why it was important that uh, it captured her and not some uh, cartoonish idea of what my family and what our lifestyle looked like. So he did a 5-minute sketch, and based on what I saw in those 5 minutes, he was hired. And he taught me a lot of things about publishing, not so much publishing, but the uh, about illustration and what goes into it, and terminologies that I didn't know. He was very patient with me, and he made the process very uh, easy. It was a lengthy process because he's not local. He lives in Argentina, so we did everything by email. So it was quite interesting, but um, the time that I had with him and actually um, emailing each other back and forth, it's it made me, I'm going to say, it made our relationship better because I had to be mindful of the words that I use, or being very detailed in what it was that I was looking for. And he was great, uh, the best illustrator ever. So,
So was that, you know, is that a hard, like, would you consider that like a harder process? You know, because like I said, I mean, it's now you're not, like I said, I didn't know that it was about your daughter, but I appreciate you clarifying that for me. But the I guess the thing is that what I wanted to know is like how would like how is the process in terms of, you know, being able to pick like, all right, this is what I want in this particular place compared to just writing out a book and, you know, you're doing it more of a, like on a visual aspect.
well, for me, I knew exactly what I wanted. And the thing is about when you're working with people, you have to stay within your vision and what it is you want, because the more people you add into your pie, into your kitchen, sometimes the message can get messed up because they bring in all of these different ideas, and you can go down a different path than what you originally uh, had in mind. So I would just say, just stick with what your original idea. And I made uh, a photo album for him of what each and every page should look like. So I didn't leave anything up for debate. I wrote it out exactly. I took what I had in my mind, I wrote it out on paper. And if it didn't come out on paper where he could understand it, I searched for pictures. I sent him pictures of this is the idea of what I'm looking for. Not exactly, but this is an overall or general idea, because sometimes a picture speaks volumes. So with that, he was able to hone in on what I was looking for in my book.
And then you said that you wasn't you guys weren't obviously in the same place. So what, oh, I'm sorry, was there ever a time to where it you found any like difficulties in terms of like the communication between the two? It Go ahead.
Yes, because I wanted to call him. I wanted to call him. He doesn't speak Spanish. Well, he doesn't speak English, and I don't speak Spanish. So it really forced me to develop a relationship with him. I'm talking about not just a work relationship, but actually, I got to meet him. We exchanged pictures. We really came together. Uh, in almost like a work marriage relationship. So we had to come into come together with an understanding of what my limitations were, and I had to come into an understanding what his strengths were. And I had to depend on him with my baby to uh, bring it to life, because like I said, I had an idea of what the overall picture would be, but he just put that little spin on it that I wouldn't have if it wasn't for him. And the biggest thing was just the communications coming together and understanding, and it was accepting my limitations, because he knew terminologies. He used terminologies that I didn't know, and I wasn't shy about pointing out to use layman terms where I could understand, and I grew from that.
Now, I wanted to say that, especially the one you said a couple words. You had to build a relationship, and a strong relationship with them, as well
Yes,
as communication. And I think those are two things that is truly key. Like you said, when you're working with someone, especially when it is your project, that you're building a strong relationship, especially because you want your vision to come to life. And only you can, you know what I'm saying, only you can be able to tell it and convey the message the right way. You know what I'm saying?
that's
And
correct.
this, and as well as the communication, to being able to communicate effectively. And like you said, there was a language barrier, but you were able to find a way to still make it work. And I
Yes,
wanted to just point that out to you, and that definitely is key. So if you guys are out there listening, please, please, please build good relationships with the people you work with, as well as the communication. Like I said, it's not going to be an easy process, but it's definitely, those are two strong things that needs to be brought out there. Oh, but
it's
go ahead.
definitely worth it. It's worth it. It is worth it, because I had a lot of delays, and because at that time, when we were getting this process started, there was this big hurricane, and his whole life was just turned upside down, and the timeline that I had here in the States, uh, didn't actually coincide with what he was actually going through. So it became not only, your what's going on with you is messing up my business, but if I took that attitude on, and not actually care for him and his family in that situation, I would have lost a great illustrator and a friend, and I do consider him as my friend.
Right, and like I said, see, if circumstances come up, like I said, we've had this coronavirus, and like I said, people can get sick that way. There's weather conditions, that come
Yes,
about, and those are some of the things that I'm glad that you touched on, because as authors, we go through, we face a lot of challenges that a lot of people, we don't necessarily come out and tell, unless it comes on a platform like this. But it's definitely important. It's definitely, important to understand, like, okay, hey, we got outside lives too,
yes, we
as
do.
well as, stuff. Yeah.
So
So,
my whole
okay.
outlook with that is that every delay, every setback, every frustration, it all worked out for my good, uh, and and which and with every delay, uh, it brought light to something that we missed. If I didn't have, if it moved through smoothly, there would have been so many things that I would have missed that I wouldn't have thought of. But without that time to just sit back and just take a look at the project, because I'm excited. I was so excited, and I just wanted to, just give me, give me, give me, give me. And without the delays, I wouldn't have had the time to actually just take a look and survey what was sent to me, to reflect on it, because sometimes we get it and it looks great as an author. We when we design things, man, I'm really killing this paragraph, this chapter. I'm really just writing it out, and I can't wait to set it out, to send it out. But a delay came and something didn't work out. But that gave you time to go back and take a look at your manuscript. Got a lot of typos, I got a lot of errors, and without that delay, you would have missed it. You would have missed that opportunity to make it even better.
Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. Like I said, because even right now, I'm facing challenges with my book cover, and the same thing. Like I was sitting here super duper excited because I finally got the cover that I wanted initially from when I released the book back in August of 2020, and
Right.
because like I said, delays and all that, but I was like I wanted to put the book out. I was like I didn't want to delay that, but at least I could still behind the scenes work on trying to get the book cover right. And like I said, this is almost what 8-9 months, and I still haven't gotten it done. But it's approved
Right.
today. It did get approved, but it's just gotta, it'll be another 24 to 48 hours before it actually is good on Amazon. But that's okay. And like I said, but at least I got, actually what I wanted. And like I said,
Correct.
I didn't give up until I got it. Now, hold on a second. So now what now that we have the description as far as the illustration and everything out the way, now let's go in depth with the book itself. And like you said, you talked about your daughter, and but I like I said, with each page it seemed like I can just feel the transition as the next one, even to the dirty diaper part. I was just like, but it was, what I mean, it was cool because it's like, okay, the baby's not happy about this, but the hands is coming next is to alleviate what I mean. So it was like dealing with the emotions and the feelings that each person or parent was giving to the child, and that's what I took from it. So, but
Yes.
like I said, I'm not the author, but I would like for you to go ahead and share with me, though.
Yes, my pleasure again. And it's not just so much about just my daughter Erin, but I took experiences from all of my children and packaged it into this story because I did have a daughter who was born premature, uh, only 3 pounds 11 ounces, and she had vision problems. But what she could see was my hands. What she noticed first before anything was when I reached down to her because her vision was only uh, uh, limited to a certain distance. But all children are born with limited eyesight. So the first thing that they're able to see, or the things that come to them more often would be the first thing that they would notice would be your hands, the warmth of your hands, the touching of your hands, the caressing of the hands, or how you hold them close to you, and that's really uh, how it came about because my daughter, my two older daughters, and I were at a restaurant with Erin, and it was low lit, and we had all of these, and I saw all of these hands just moving in harmony, uh, gathering her things and placing her in her car seat, and I came to the conclusion. I said that would be a great book. My children were like, what? All of these hands, because only thing that was lit, if we were dining by candlelight, so you could only see all of these hands just moving around and like they were just dancing around my daughter. I'm like, that would make a great book on my children. My daughter Adriana was being sarcastically. It's like, well, why don't you write it then? I'm like, I sure will. So, and I
Mm.
just took my family and placed it all in a book. And when it comes to the potty time song, this is the song that I actually sung to my daughter when she was potty training. And every time we would go and we would just reinforce her potty time etiquette. And and that's how she learned that's how she learned to count. I just condensed it down uh, to just learning how to count and be on beat and making potty time a fun time. And so when she was going on her own, it made it easy for her. So whenever I hear her singing a song, audibly uh, pointed out to me that it was time for her to go to potty. So that's how I reinforced those good potty training skills for her.
Okay. And then so how was the book doing? So how long has it been out? How long has the book been out?
Well, it's only been out for maybe about a month or so. And I really, yeah, just about a month or so, and the sales have been good, but I'm still trying to figure out a marketing plan to boost the acknowledgement, to boost the sales, and the viewability of it all. But I haven't found my niche just quite yet. But I'm still working. But we all know that's always a work in progress.
Well, don't worry, because we're gonna have all your information linked in there. Like I said, if you want to, you can text it to me as we're speaking, so that I can put it in there as we're doing it now. But yeah, because I want to make sure that you get some book sales. So if you want to go ahead and type it in the comments, do so they can go ahead and get your, they can get, like I said, put your website information in the comments, and I'm pretty sure that somebody will definitely get it. Definitely. And it won't take that long to get, and it won't take that long to get to you, because when I ordered it, it didn't take that long at all. It was not an Amazon. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't a delay from another company. Let's just say that. But
Oh no.
yeah, it was.
Thank
Yeah,
you. I set up.
was.
It took time to set up my internet. Well, not my internet, but my website. It was all trial and error, and that's why I haven't so much promoted it, because I just wanted to make sure I worked out all the kinks. And so far, the sales that I've had great response on the shipping time, great response on the packaging, great response when they get their products, that it is not marred, it's printed correctly, and the pages are very colorful and vibrant. I can just share a couple of pages of what it actually looks like. How the colors just seem to just jump off of the pages. So I'm just really thrilled with how the Most High has just moved everything. And again, I'm very thankful for the time or those delays that I had to just make it just right.
Yeah, that's real nice. Now, we was just talking about this, but I'm gonna say that for last. But
Okay.
we're gonna shift gears a little bit. Now, do you have the second one with you, or you only got the children's
Oh
book?
no,
Okay,
he's ready.
we okay. That's what I'm talking about. So you can go ahead and you can introduce it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. You can tell us
Okay.
the topic. I mean the title.
And this is Some Lessons of Life Through Poetry, Spring Volume 1, Poems and Narrative Writings.
Now, when I read this, oh, okay, yeah, yes,
Thank you.
I, I liked it, because at first I was like, okay, which ones are all of them about you, or you know what I'm saying? So that was my first thought. But then as I continued to read, I was like, nah, this can't be nobody else but you. But now you tell me, is all of them about you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, they all are about me.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. And so what made you decide to write poetry?
I've always written poetry from a young child. It's just my go-to things for relaxation. I do it for fun. I do it for spirituality. I just uh, writing. Again, I say it all the time, but that outlet just saves my life. It really does. It just gives me a time to just look at me. It allows me to reflect. It allows me to um, denounce some things that I've noticed about myself. So I renounce it and denounce it because in that time, it's my time. It's my quiet time. This is where I get to focus on whatever the issue is. Most of the time, I'm unaware that mentally that there's something going on. But if I just start to write, shalom, I'm in peace. And if there's something that is not right, I could just continue to write. Continue to write, and before you know it, I'm able to diagnose. I found it, I'm diagnosing it, now I'm resetting it. And that just makes it easier for me. So I'm going to always write.
Hmm. Okay. Now, what being that, like, poetry is more or less, your I don't know, I don't write poetry, but it's more, your thoughts, at that particular moment, or if it's a dream or anything like that. Now, is easier, would you say, with writing a children's book, or just sitting there, like you said, just having you some me time and just putting pen to paper and writing it out?
I'm going to say that both are equally enjoyable for me. I found joy in writing both of them, even though some of the subjects in the poem, or in the poetry book, are maybe a little strong or revealing, I should say. But sometimes I live and breathe between the pages of the lines. So between the
Right.
lines of the pages, I write myself, and that way no one can judge me. Either you can understand it, but you can't criticize me. When I write, I don't write for what they quote unquote to be grammatically correct, but I write
Hmm.
what I feel. And in the hopefully or the likelihood that someone may feel the same way I feel, then and to know that I have the courage to say it out loud, to put it in black and white, then you can too.
That you like almost answered the final question, but I'm digging all of that, because that's how I felt. It was like, when I came through the process as far as writing a book, it was like, okay, I already have the 12 years of the alcoholism. It's already written. Now
Right,
it was more or less like, okay, do I want to tell it, talk about it? Do I want to,
right.
put it out there? And
Or
then
how
what do I
honest am
want to
I
put
going
out?
to be?
There you go. So yes, you definitely hit it. And that's kind of where I felt, was like, you know what? When I started writing, I was like, okay, what if this person doesn't like this? Or what if that person doesn't like that? I'm like, and I said it, and I'll say it again. They can go write their own book, because
They
I
sure
feel
can.
like, yeah, so 12 Faces of Sober stands on that one, that phrase right there. But no,
Correct.
it's the honest truth, because, like, don't, the only story could be told, by yourself, and unless you are just not well enough to tell that story, is how I feel. And I'm now now that I'm sober, I'm able to remember, I'm able to be like, oh, okay, I can put myself in these situations. I can refer back to social media and be like, all right, well, these are the problems that I faced, and now I can deal with them. So that's kind of where I was like, I thought about it for a while. I'm like, you know what? I got to get it out. And like I said, I do appreciate the fact of you sharing that. And that's why I was so afraid, because I'm like, okay, she's being totally honest with this poems, but at the same token, I'm like, it's Sunday afternoon. So I was like, and I have some that I want to talk about that's not as risque, but I just wanted to know what like your thought process was, because like it was the one about making conversation caught my eye. What was the motivation? Like what was that? Like if you, without giving out all of the poems, like if you want to at least just share one or a couple of them, like what were you thinking at that point?
Uh, Actually, just reminiscing, and I liked it. Uh, Sometimes women, um, we're kind of afraid to admit some of the things that we like, and I liked that. I liked him. I liked the whole atmosphere around it, and it was not that I was looking to reconnect, but just in that moment, you know, I was aroused.
Okay. And the other one that caught my eye is the poem about moving on. Um, and why do you think it is hard sometimes for people to move on?
Wow, that that's a true story.
No, I'm just, hey,
Man, sometimes we do things without even knowing why we do things. And sometimes, honestly, truthfully, sometimes I just like to be hurt. Why? I don't know. But, just having your heart ripped out without, I'm going to say, it was probably a way to actually feel, because in some of these places I wasn't able to actually feel, and sometimes joy, but I could always feel the hurt. That hurt is reliable, and it makes you, well, I won't speak hypothetically, it made me kind of comfortable, because I've had a lot of hurt. I know how to deal with the hurt at that time. I was like a pro. And it's not that I was actually looking to rekindle uh, anything, but I just remembered the time that I had with this person, and again, I liked it. Not that it was good for me, not that it caused me any growth, but physically I felt something. And sometimes I do things to just feel, and sometimes it's not always good or healthy for me, but and in that moment I'm able to feel something.
okay.
So
And so what's on the horizon for Louis YK, the author? What you got planned? What's on the upcoming schedule?
well, upcoming schedules, I will continue to promote these two books while I'm working on releasing the second version of the poetry book, because I have 3 volumes, and I will be combining volumes 2 and 3 together. So I'm looking forward to that. And if you like, I could uh, read one of the poems that will be coming out on the second and third volumes, if you like.
Share away. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
right ahead.
All right. I will read nothing in particular. I don't want anything. I don't want nothing, and never mind a thing. What are you talking about? Nothing in particular. They don't need to know their history lessons, and they don't need a man of this nation. What do you mean? Oh, nothing in particular. Why are they so angry? Who? The blacks. The humans, again, have forgotten their history. They are the most marchingest, singingest, and forgivable people I know. They have no rhythm, but they march to the wrong beat. They sing like angels, but they give their glory to another. And they forgive everyone, but not each other. Some say they want reparations from this land, while never truly having an understanding of what the Bible in hand. Never mind what they say, never mind a thing. I will continue to say, I don't want nothing, and never mind. Why are you saying these things? Nothing in particular. Why are some of them calling themselves Jacob or Jacob, Israel? And why people are saying the Most High? Oh, child, it was written in latter days that Jacob will rule in the end. So that is just a little excerpt from Nothing in Particular.
That's part two. That's on part two or part three.
That would be part two.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's real though. I like that. Yeah, let me know when that come out because I sure would take it. I like your poetry. It's pretty good actually. I feel it, man. That's real good. Now we talked about something that I want you to that I want to include with this last question.
Okay.
Now before we got on, you were talking about ownership as far as owning excuse me, owning your brand and things of that. Now that's a part of the question. The second part of it is what would you leave aspiring authors who might be contemplating writing, like you mentioned, a children's book, poems, myself, a book about my life. What would you give to someone that's inspiring? Because a lot of people come to me, oh, I've been thinking about writing a book. I'm like, write it. So what would be your advice to them on that, and as well as the importance of owning your brand, owning, as we discussed, the ownership of your logo and things of that, because that also is important because people ask me about that as well, and I don't have the information. So this is truly a blessing to be able to get this information out there to my followers and those that will actually share this video.
Okay, thank you. I would go ahead and start with the second part of that question, is to make sure, ask the question to make sure that what's the reason for writing a book? Are you writing this for just to say you've written a book, or are you writing this to create a business? So if you're just writing just to be writing, just to say that you wrote a book, well then the first thing you have to do is to write it. Uh, do not be afraid to, whatever the subject is, make sure that you will do the work to make sure that you will put in the time that it takes to get to put out quality work. And if you're writing to own a business, for something that you can leave to your children, to make sure that you run it as a business, that you get your paperwork in order first, to make sure that whatever city and state that you're in, that you make sure that you get your DBA, that you go down to the county clerk and you register your business. Make sure after you register your business that you also get registered with the state. Now, each state requirements are going to be different, and depending on the state, it's the dollar amount will be different. So you have to make sure that you're current in those two things, that you register with the city that you're in and that you also register with the state. And thirdly, to make sure that once you get those two pieces of paperwork, that you go and you open up a bank account in your business name. in your business name, do not um, do not put your business in your name. You have to keep your business separate from who you are. And you don't ever want to commingle your funds. So whenever you open that business account, you make sure it is for business and business only. And secondly,
And
once you yes, apologies,
go
go
ahead. I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Okay.
No, no,
And
go ahead. Continue.
once you do all of those things, then you need to think about getting trademarks. And all of this takes time, because I think it is important that you get the business side of things done first. It would be great if the manuscript is already done, but before you even think about um, trying to sell it, trying to get it published, trying to do anything, that you get your paperwork set right. Because once you do that, guess what? You open up doors to other business possibilities or interests or incentives. With a business, you're able to uh, get tax credits. You're able to take off your rent, your lights, your cell phone, all the things that you would use in a normal business. You would then be able to get that written off in your taxes, that be able to pass through on your taxes. So it's very important that you get the business side things done correctly. And secondly, well, uh, fourth or fifth thing there is to make sure that you copyright. Make sure
All
you
right.
copyright your work. Make sure that you are the sole owner of it. And I would say, before you even send your manuscript out for review or for anything, to make sure you copyright it first.
Mm.
And then you will have, it's a piece of paper, but guess what? It's not your word against theirs. Well, this is my
Right.
manuscript. No, this is my manuscript. Although then you will have a legal footing to protect yourself.
Okay.
So if you just start with those steps, everything else will fall into place, because my business is keeping your business in your hands and
Mhm.
out of others.
Okay. And so you want to did you type in your website and everything in the comments? Because I
No,
want to make sure that they.
I don't have
Huh?
access to it. It says it's telling me comments are not available. So you would have to give
Oh,
me
what?
access.
How do I do that? Oh, what? Oh, that's messed up. It's not. That ain't right.
But while you,
I don't
but
know.
while we get that taken
Okay,
care
we
of,
get it
but
out
my
here.
website is www.lyke shops shops.com. Again, lyke shops.com.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm a I'm gonna type that in there so they make sure. I don't know why. I guess I can. Well, the comments is in there, but I'll type it in for you to make sure, because I want to make sure that you guys support this this talented author, Miss Lewis YK. Um, now I want to say Lewis YK. I really do appreciate you coming on to 12 Faces of Sober podcast speaks. I really do appreciate it, because I know for sure that there's an author in here, Rose Jenkins. So she's definitely taking this gym. She's working on a book right now. So I know that she's absorbing this information. Hello to my sister LaQuisha Oliver. Hello, Kiera as well, and
Good
as well
day.
as to Matthew Griffin. You can't see any of this? You can't see nobody just commenting?
No, I cannot.
Oh man. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. I got you. I tagged you, so you'll be able to do everything as soon as we finish it. But
Okay.
like I said, we're getting close to the end of the 12 Phases of Sober podcast. Once again, snatch up the book. You might want to hold it up. Maybe they'll do a screenshot and everything. That's the poetry book. I got the children's book. So like I said, support her as well while we doing that. Support 12 Faces of Sober. I know that right now the book is not up on Amazon, but you still can place orders on 12facesofsober.com. It is available there temporarily until they start printing the new ones. But also, you can get 12 Faces of Sober t-shirts. I know the weather is starting to warm up, but you can still buy it. Oh, yes. Ooh, I see. I'm not mad. Anything else you want to advertise? I'm trying to tell you. Listen.
Not only have I turned my poetry into books, but I also turn my poems into merchandise as well. And this is the Centered and Aligned mug. And I also have a journal to match because, like I said, I write. And I write all kinds of things. And the thing about it, just write. And you can decide of how honest you're willing to be in your writings. But first, you have to be honest with yourself before you can be honest with anyone else.
Well, like I said, 12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast is basically, you know, I'm trying to bring in all different kinds of guests that can give you some business, the business side of books and branding itself, as well as an author of not a children's book and of poems and more to it. And like I said, I'm just trying to grow 12 Faces of Sober podcast because the message needs to get out there, and I'm trying my best to promote positivity. And again, Louis YK, I really, really, really do appreciate you. I wish you nothing but luck. I know we will definitely cross paths again. And like I said, just keep me in the loop as far as whenever you come out with any other work, because I'll definitely support you.
Well, thank you so very much, and I appreciate you having me here. Thank you.
Okay. All right, now you take care, and I'll see you actually in a couple hours.
In a couple of hours, yes, you will.
All right, you take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye.